Morning, everybody. Happy March 22nd. Welcome to the California Placement Association's monthly webinar. My name is Greg Friedman. I am from Merced, California in the northern region. I want to do let's shout out to our board members that are on. I'm going to go first person I see is Rosalinda. You want to introduce yourself? Say hi.
Absolutely. Pleasure to be here. Hi, everybody. On behalf of the California Placement Association, I want to welcome all of you for being here today. I'm Rosalinda Rivas. I am a past president for CPA. Happy to be serving as a volunteer here on this board. It's a fabulous board to be part of. It's a great organization. Check out our website if you haven't and consider being a member. And we just had our state conference. So for those of you that are with us in Palm Springs, welcome back. And it's great to see everybody. And I'm going to pass the baton to Jackie.
Good morning, everyone. I'm glad you guys are here on this webinar. I'm Jackie Kennedy Harris. I am the employer rep for the Central Valley Northern area. Welcome, everyone. And do we have anyone else on?
Do we have other?
Well, the presenter.
Well, we have Keri, but we're in a minute. We have some new future board members on, I see, very shortly here. So I want to take a moment just to thank our sponsor, Transfer. Their website is transferinc.com. They are super cool and on the cutting edge of training. They actually use virtual reality, the Quest goggles, and they have a ton of different programs from medical to welding, where your students actually get to practice hands-on in a virtual environment to learn the skills before they actually go out into the work spot or their internship spot. So yeah, Association's gold sponsor. Super happy to have them. We appreciate it.
Yeah, and they do a great job with training for anything from workforce development to training and curriculum and so many innovative things. So definitely worth checking out on the website. So thank you, Transfer, for being one of our major sponsors for CPA, for California Placement Association.
And with that, well, let's get down to why we're all here. Keri Aaver, over 15 years in the workforce placement field. She's a workforce development training specialist. She's a longtime CPA member. She's on our board now. She's a past president. She was just at our state conference where some of you were at in Palm Springs last month. She did 2 breakout sessions to great reviews, and so happy to have you here and offering to give your time today to present, Keri. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Fantastic. I'm really excited to be here, and nice to see some faces I know too. Nice to see some of my old colleagues and associates too. Anna, I see you, and Cynthia there. Yay! Nice to see people that I know too. So can you see, Greg, are you seeing my full slide right now?
Yes, we are.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that introduction, Greg. I appreciate that. So, and those of you, I don't know how long you all have been with CPA. I've been involved a long time. It's really, my favorite organization to be involved in, just with the volume of content that we get. And as members, it's not, maybe not as big as a National Career Development Association, but that means that our members have a greater impact on what shows up at our conferences and our webinars and all that. So it's really exciting to be part of this. Thank you guys for allowing me to do this, inviting me to do this. So I'm the CEO of CareerWise Consulting. It's a workforce and career development company. I do career development coaching, consulting, and training. And today we're really going to be talking about self-coaching to manage mindset. When you learn it for yourself, you can actually turn around and use this skill to support others in doing the same. Really 90% of what determines our success or that of our job seekers is dependent on our mindset. Every new job developer team that I've ever trained, probably some of you, I'm sure Cynthia's heard this before, that 90%, at least 80%, but 80 to 90% of what we do when we're working with new job seekers or clients is really to help restore their confidence or lift their confidence and help them to improve their self-awareness in the job search. This is a tool, and I will tell you honestly, although I've done different types of self-coaching, mindfulness and things over the years, this is a tool that I really only started using heavily in the last couple of years. And I have found it to be incredibly effective, both with my own mindset and achieving my own goals. But also, I have to tell you, since I retired from College of the Canyons last February, and I've been 100% doing consulting and coaching for individuals and groups, I use this as a tool, especially in one-on-one coaching sessions on a regular basis. So those of you that are job developers or even team leaders, directors, I don't know the different backgrounds, of everyone that's on the call today, but it's a tool that really helps you to be successful at the same time when you really get the hang of it, to be able to help others to be successful too. And I know, that people in this industry are so heart-centered, you're so focused on making a difference and having a positive impact. So, have any of you, maybe by let's see if I can see people, a show of hands or the emoji or something like that, have any of you used self-coaching methods in the past, or if you've ever used it, or if you're currently using it? Nobody. Okay, well, this is super exciting. Oh, that's so exciting, because this is really an intro. There's so much you can get into on this, and I can't cover everything in 40 minutes or 45 minutes, however long I have here. But as we go through this, I'm gonna, really walk you through this so that you understand not just what it is, how to use it, but how really to turn around and use it with your job seekers to help them achieve success. I'm sure all of you have had individuals that you're working with, students or job seeker clients and workforce, that just feel really stuck, or they keep getting the same results over and over again, and they start feeling like they're banging their head against the wall, or maybe you're feeling like you're banging your head against the wall with certain things you're dealing with. And this is a tool that when you start applying it and practicing it, I think you're going to be really just as excited as I am about it. So let me move to the next slide. So I'm going to dive right in. So what is self-coaching? So it's really a process. Self-coaching techniques are used to really improve your personal development, which includes career development, and help you achieve goals. It's a process of using self-reflection, inquiry, problem-solving skills to achieve personal growth, and to really, achieve the goals that are important to you, whether it's employment, whether it's career advancement. You can use it for anything. Brooke Castillo, who I'm going to talk about a little bit through this, because she was one of my mentors in learning this. She used it to lose 70 pounds, very differently than most of us go about trying to get rid of that extra weight. So you can really apply it for everything, or, any different type of problem that you're running into. I haven't come up to, when I've been coaching on this, every time I coach individuals to use this, we end up with more and more things that they can apply it to. And I'm just blown away at how it works. So it's really a process of self-reflection, inquiry, problem solving, like I said, and it involves techniques to help you get self-awareness, to really gain insight, clarity, and direction for moving forward in your goals. So it works by helping you, you or your clients to become more aware of their thoughts, emotions, behaviors, and really gaining a better understanding of the beliefs that shape their experiences. Individuals are able to identify patterns that could be holding them back, and then be able to make the positive changes they really want to. I mean, what's more frustrating than trying and trying and trying to accomplish something and always getting the same result? And we're going to talk about that in a minute. It's called the cycle of thought pattern. So the process of self-coaching typically involves several steps, including identifying what the problem is or the goal. It involves clarifying what you want to achieve or what issue you want to address. The self-inquiry involves asking yourself questions to gain a deeper understanding of problems or goals, and it involves exploring thoughts related to those issues. And then next, you analyze and you evaluate what you found when you're looking at, when you're doing your self-inquiry. You'll analyze the answers to your questions in order to gain the insights you need to really change your patterns to identify new patterns. And once you've done that, you can create an action plan. So do any of you use a tool that I really like to use with job seekers was career development plans or employment action plans. Are any of you using those in your current practice? Okay, fantastic. I see Claudette nodding her head, a couple there, and you can put, if those of you that have screens off, you can put stuff in the chat. But Greg, if anything comes up in the chat or any questions or anything, can you please let me know, because I can't see it the way my screen is showing right now.
Not a problem, my pleasure.
Okay, perfect. So once you've created the action plan that's really based on, your insights, your analysis, then you finally put that plan into action and you're able to make the changes you need to achieve the goal, rather than just continuing to repeat this whole pattern over and over again. So it does require a willingness to be honest with oneself and to take responsibility for one's thoughts, feelings, actions. And it's a powerful tool of development that helps you to overcome obstacles and achieve your full potential. So this is a tool. I think I'm going to mention when I,
really quick, Keri, there's a question that was being asked in regards, can we get your action plan template example? If you can share that and show it.
Yes, absolutely. What I'm going to do is I have a link I'll put in the chat, and you can go there and it'll send it to you and use it however you want to. I mean, use it for yourself, share it with your clients, whatever you want. I'm going to send that to you, but I want you to understand it first. And I'm going to try to go quickly enough that we have a chance for you to start applying it. But as I go over the different sections of the model, I'm going to want you to, if you have a pen or paper, something handy, pen and paper would be helpful. I suppose just having a pen or paper will probably not be helpful. And I want you to, in a minute, I'm going to have you write down the model very easily, quick and easy. It's 5 letters, right? And start thinking about that as we go through this, because if you learn how to apply this for yourself, once you get the hang of using it for yourself, it's going to make it almost just natural and automatic for you to be able to use it with your job seekers. Okay, so just a little thing here about, does self-coaching work? A lot of people, as we go through this, I'll have people say things, something like, oh, that sounds kind of, no, it's not woo-woo at all. This is scientifically based. The self-coaching techniques can be effectively used. Tons of research shows how it's being effectively used. Let me see. Oh, there it is. And I put just a few different things on here. This is just some recent research and things that I pulled up, but there's tons of it going back. It is this particular model I'm going over today is one that was really developed by Brooke Castillo, but there's many different models out there. This is the one that I find is the easiest to use, the easiest to remember. But you'll see in here, that participants have significantly higher levels of goal achievement and well-being compared to control groups, even in a 6-week time frame. They've done this in 6-week, 8-week, 12-week research studies on this. Self-coaching can be just as effective as a coach or a career advisor leading coaching in getting positive outcomes, which I think is super exciting because we can't be there for our clients all the time. And so if you can teach them a tool that they can use when they can't reach you, when they have an interview coming up or something's coming up, they have to respond, they got a call unexpectedly from an employer, it's a tool that if they've been practicing it, they're going to be ready. So in addition to, the research shows that it improves self-awareness. The Journal of Positive Psychology found that it improves emotional regulation and psychological flexibility, which we know if you've ever had, those difficult clients that you're trying to show them what they need to do to be successful, and they're just not following your guidance or your direction. Another study found that self-coaching improves job performance and reduces burnout. That particular report research was done on healthcare workers, but others have been done finding the same thing outside of healthcare. And so we know how important that is now with the growing discontent in the last 20 years that we're kind of seeing the impacts of people falling out of the workforce. And then a systematic study on self-coaching was a pretty extensive study. found that self-coaching programs can be effective in a variety of settings, including education, healthcare, and workplace contexts. And I certainly have applied those in every one of those areas with different clients that I work with. So, all right, moving right along. I wish my slide clicker was working right, because then it wouldn't slow me down here, guys. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's go into the cycle of thought patterns. So when something happens, we either have an automatic unintentional thought, or we create a deliberate intentional thought. And when you think, I'm going to close this out. When you think a thought, you know, you feel a feeling as a result of that thought. When you feel a feeling, you take action or not, or you know, inaction is a form of action, right? Because of how you feel. And your actions create your experience in the world, and ultimately what your life ends up looking like, you know, what your results are. So if your thoughts stink, your life is going to stink. You know, if your job search is just you're spinning wheels and you're not getting the results you want, there's a good chance that it's tied back to thoughts that you're having at different parts of your job search. If you're trying to get ahead on your job, and you're getting more and more discouraged, things aren't going the way you want. If you can pinpoint the thoughts that are applied to these different things that you're feeling, and change those automatic, you know, unintentional thoughts to deliberate. Spotlighted my video. Okay. You're able to. Sorry, something popped up, Greg, when you did that on my screen. You're able to make a difference. If you aren't conscious of your negative thoughts, in essence, you're sort of enslaved by them. And this is what is known as the spin cycle that you see here. So a circumstance or fact, that's something that happens. We're going to talk about each of the 5 parts of the model. Once you see how they're connected, how they impact one another, you'll be able to see how our interactions with these things really determine the whole of our lives. How we think about things determines how we feel. How we feel about things determines what we do. What we do or don't do creates our results. The sum of our results creates our lives. So I'm not going to repeat that a million times, but you're going to pick up on that trend as we go through this on the different slides. So if you can change your thoughts, you change your feelings, and ultimately you change your results. All right, so let's dive right into the self-coaching model. I have to change it on 2 screens in order to move it forward. Okay, so the self-coaching model is a framework. Any questions yet, Greg? You can pop in and interrupt me anytime if there's anything in the chat.
Nope, you're doing good.
All right, good. I'm going a little fast because I want to get through these you know, each of these things and have questions, or have the time to be able to answer questions as we go to. So the self-coaching model is really a framework that helps you understand the relationship between your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, and results. And each component is connected to one another. Understanding how they work together is what helps you to make positive change in your life. So why use a self-coaching model? You know, really because if you practice it and become more aware of your thoughts, you're going to become more conscious. You'll discover the cause behind your negative emotions. You'll have a way to feel better. When you feel better, you make better choices. You take more positive actions. And so it's really about being able to make a mindset change. I want to give you, on this slide, I'm just going to give you a brief overview of the model first, and then we're going to dive into how to use and apply this model. Are you with me, or am I talking too fast? If you're with me and you're ready to go, give me a thumbs up, say yes or something in the chat.
They're with you. The thumbs are going up.
Okay, good. Glad to know it. And thank you, Rosalind. So circumstances are really the things that we can't control. You know, I want to make sure you understand the difference between each of these. So circumstances are facts that they're neutral. They're not good or bad. You fall off your bike and you hurt your knee. That's a circumstance. Okay, I fell off my bike and I hurt my knee. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? Well, at that point, it just is, right? It's just something that happened. So a circumstance is something that can't be denied. Someone else can't come in and say, you know, that didn't happen to you. A circumstance may be losing your job, getting laid off, not getting a promotion that you wanted. It could be any number of things, right? but it's completely neutral. It's just something that is. It has no feeling attached to it. What comes after that is when a circumstance happens, you think a thought. So that thought is like a sentence in our mind, that occurs either, as I mentioned in the last slide, it either occurs deliberately or unintentionally. Most of the time it's unintentionally, right? We're so busy every day going and going and going. We're so busy with everything that we're doing. You're just going through, getting from one thing to the next as you go. And it's rare that we actually stop and think for a minute, go, whoa, why am I feeling this way? What am I thinking about that circumstance? So the thoughts are really these sentences that happen in our mind when something happens. This is where you self-coach. And this is where you teach the others to self-coach. This is where the change and the positive impact takes place. So when you have that thought, it actually produces these feelings. So that's where the feeling comes from. The feeling is a one-word description of, for lack of another way to describe it, like vibrations in our body. Everyone knows what it is to have a different feeling, whether it's anger, sadness, frustration. And these are caused by our thoughts, not by our circumstances. Your feelings are caused by your thoughts and not your circumstances. Then those feelings generate actions, right? Depending on how we feel, it has the impact on how we respond, how we act, what we do or what we don't do in the world. And then ultimately, those actions cause our results. The results will be evidence of your original thought. So people think it's the circumstance. Well, this happened, and that's why this whole cycle is going on. But if you look at this, what happens when we don't stop to think is that you go through these, something happens, you immediately have a thought, you don't even question it, and you start feeling a certain way because of that thought, and then you act. You either take an action or don't, right? I got laid off. Maybe the thought, we're going to go over some of these, maybe the thought is a negative thought. You don't feel good. And then it doesn't really motivate you or make you feel like going out there and making a change. I did in a workshop that I did at the California Policeman Association. I had an individual there, and actually I've had two people since then too. There are some people that when they have a bad thought, it motivates them to achieve higher things. But I forget what the percentage of individuals are that are like that. Those are those people, individuals that are like, it makes me think of like Officer and a Gentleman, when the Richard Gere character is being, yelled at and everything like that. And he's like, I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to quit. And he sticks in there no matter how hard this person is trying to get him to do it. There is a percentage of people like that. But most of us, as we're going through day-to-day life, don't even realize what's happening with these, from circumstance to thought to feeling to action and result. So as you go through this model, you're going to become aware of your thoughts, create faster, better results in achieving your goals, and you'll discover the cause behind your negative emotions. Like I said, you're going to be able to feel better. In turn, you're going to be able to use this model to help your clients do the same. So using the model when circumstance or thinking pattern is causing you to suffer, and when you can't get immediate relief, is really the key of this. I wasn't able to, when I did this presentation at the California Policeman Association, I never really got to get into this. It was just one of the tools for managing emotions during a job search that I was covering, and we got into a big discussion, so I wasn't really able to dive into this. But it's really, this model is best used when your thinking patterns are really causing these problems for you, and you feel like you're in this spin cycle like we talked about. Because what happens, before I move on to the next slide, if you see on here where it says, there's evidence. So when this just happens, okay, I lost my job, I'm never going to be able to get another job, might be the thought. This is how I feel about it. I'm not doing what I need to get another job, and therefore I didn't get another job. I'm not getting the results I want. And that becomes evidence, that thought cycle from thought, feeling, action, it becomes evidence that every time this circumstance happens, this is the result you get. And it sort of becomes like a self-fulfilling self-fulfilling prophecy. Nelson Mandela is one person that I followed for years, and he did a lot of, he didn't call it self-coaching, but he did a lot. He became very self-aware, and that was what helped him. If you've heard any of his talks and presentations and stuff in the past, that's what really helped him to get through all of the years that he was imprisoned. And even after his release, it had everything to do with his mindset. So there's another reasons why I'm so excited about this. So, so question any thought you have that doesn't give you a feeling, action, or result that you want. I want you to be thinking about that as we're going through these. So for yourself, because again, if you can apply this for yourself, it's going to make it easier for you to help apply it with other people. So I want you to start thinking about if there's a thought that you have that when you think that thought, it doesn't make you feel good, and you don't take the actions that you need to, and you don't end up getting the results you want. I want you to be thinking about that. Maybe pick one thing that's maybe bothering you right now. And this is what I want you to put on your paper. I want you to write down on your page of paper, CTFAR. You're going to use, this is the model I use. I like that it's 5 because I got 5 fingers. And so when I'm working with clients one-on-one, I can remember it easily that way too. Or if you're a visual person, that's why I have a few different slides to show you this. You might want to keep it up where you're coaching on your wall or something like that, or on your phone. And once you see how these are categorized to know what goes where, how do you figure out what plugs into where in the model, then you can really easily see how your interactions with these things will determine, sounds a little dramatic, but, I really feel this is that it really determines the outcome, the results that you want in your life and your career. And the sum of your results really create that. So, okay. Any questions so far? That was just a quick, brief overview. Now we're going to dive into each of those five parts of the model. Just check the chat real quick. So, okay. All right. So first one on there is circumstances. So like I mentioned, a circumstance, is different than a thought. So facts and thoughts are different things. So it is the first component of this self-coaching model, and it's not good or bad. So circumstances are really just reality. My clicker's not working. Okay. Like I said, it's not good or bad. Circumstances are neutral. For example, the sun came up today is a fact, unless you live in Southern California, where at least where I'm living, there is no sun up today. But it's something that happened. Nobody can really deny that. The events of your past, other people's actions are also circumstances because they're facts. It's something that happened. It's important to understand the difference between circumstances and thoughts, because a thought is your interpretation of the fact. So, for example, I lost my job as a circumstance, whereas I'm a failure is a thought. So hopefully that's clear. Okay. So here is an example of the model. And like I said, I'm going to give you a link at the end where you can pull this model up for yourself. It'll be a handout. It'll be in a handout form that you can use with, for yourself. And once you get the hang of it and start using it with your job seekers, your staff, your team that you're working with, anybody that you want to help to achieve better results. So this is a model I use, and we start with the default model, or the unintentional model. Some people refer to it as. So your circumstance. So here's a circumstance, right? You're laid off from a job. The thought that might follow, right, is I'm a failure. And then what goes along with that is when you think that you're a failure, then you might feel hopeless, or at the very least sad, disappointed, discouraged. And then, the result, there's going to be a result from the way that you were feeling. And the action that you have is, oftentimes in our job seekers may have is that they're just not doing what they need to get a job. They're so wrapped up in the way they've been feeling because of that thought that they were having about their circumstance, that they're not taking a positive action that's going to help them get to where they want. In essence, then they don't end up landing a job. So maybe it breaks down, maybe those thoughts break down when they get to the interview, or maybe it breaks down in the whole having to take action during the week, showing up at a recruitment event or filling out an application, right? So when we switch to the deliberate model, so the circumstance is the same. So whether you're looking at the deliberate or the default or the deliberate model, the unintentional or the intentional model, the circumstance is the same. You were laid off from the job. It's the exact same circumstance. Sometimes when you're working with people, they'll try to create a different circumstance, like, oh, well, it's a better, okay, I have to look at it from a better circumstance. No, the circumstance doesn't change. The circumstance stays the same. So then you want to choose a different thought, like I mentioned earlier. So where your thoughts are is really where the change takes place. That's where you see the positive action has a chance to create different results. So instead of thinking I'm a failure, maybe there's other thoughts that your job seeker can have, right? Well, what are some of the other thoughts that you're already having? Gosh, you mentioned that, well, now you might actually have some time to take a break. You've been working such long hours and everything, and you just haven't had a minute to breathe, and you have some things you need to deal with your family. What's something else you could do during this time? Well, I'd like to update my skills a little bit. Okay, well, then how about instead of thinking I'm a failure after being laid off from the job, thinking, wow, you know what, now I have time to add to my skills. I want you to notice with this too, you're not jumping from I'm a failure to I'm an outstanding success, right? Because the way our brains work is you can't just will yourself. Some people would disagree with me on this, but you can't just will yourself to be something you don't believe you can be. So when you're changing the thought, you have to come up with ways to change the thought that you believe. And so sometimes it's baby steps, right? So instead of I'm a failure, the thought when he thinks about being laid off of work instead could be a smaller step like this, which is, you know what? Okay, here's a positive thought. I have time to add to my skills. After having that, then he's feeling a little bit more hopeful. Like, oh, okay, there is something good about this situation. And then because he's feeling more hopeful, he's able to start focusing on the next steps he needs to do to start moving forward. And the result is, maybe he's taking the steps then to get into training. And so if we went back to that spin cycle now, he's not going to be stuck in the same cycle. He's starting to make positive changes. He's starting to move forward. And I'll use he or she interchangeably. Okay, so our thoughts. Okay, so we said with our circumstances, sorry, this is so frustrating that I have to change it in two places. Our thoughts are positive, neutral, and negative, unlike circumstances. So like I said, circumstances are neutral. They are not positive or not negative. They just are. This is what happened. This is the fact, right? With our thoughts, we have positive thoughts, we have negative thoughts, or sometimes you're kind of neutral. What movie should we see tonight? Somebody says they want to see a specific movie. You're going out with your friends and you think, oh yeah, I'd love to see that, positive, right? Or, oh gosh, not another one of those movies, right? Not another chick flick. Or maybe you're neutral. You're like, yeah, either one's fine with me. I'm just happy to be out, So you could have any different feeling associated to your thought, but it's not the circumstance that's creating that thought. We actually create our thoughts. So our thoughts influence our feelings, our actions, and our results. So any questions about the difference between circumstances and thoughts before I move on to the next example? Okay, so with the thoughts, sometimes, we pretty much always know a fact, what's happened, but when you're working with clients, you don't always know what the circumstance is that's causing them to be stuck or where they're at, or even with ourselves, right? Sometimes we don't. So here's an example of starting with the thought line, because you can start with it on any of these, your circumstance, thought, feeling, action, or result. So if you start with a thought, okay, so maybe if that thought is, I'll never find another job, right? You put that into the model on the T as that's the thought. I'll never find another job. That's not a fact because we don't know it yet. It hasn't happened. It's not, it's not occurred. And then you think about, okay, well, what is the feeling, when I have that thought, I'll never find another job. When our job seekers are having that thought, I'm too old. No one's going to hire me again. Any number of thoughts that come up. Well, then the feeling might be discouraged, right? And once they're feeling discouraged, then you might end up, one of the things you might see happening is that they aren't putting in much effort. People don't want to be proven right when it's, it's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy that doesn't get them to, a good place that ends up with poor results.
And just
Okay.
really quick, Keri, there's a comment by Graciela saying that it's so important to separate circumstances from what we create, right? In parentheses, thoughts. So great point. Thank you,
I
Graciela, for
love
sharing.
that. Yeah, absolutely. And I want to say that I believe that Graciela is like an expert at doing that too, in conversations that she and I have had in the last months. I think she's really, she's got a good handle on that. So, so after you do that, after you've pinned down and you realize what's happening, oh, this thought is what's causing the result. It's not the circumstance, it's the thought. Then you move into the deliberate intentional mode and you say, okay, let me change what that thought is then. Okay, well, instead of thinking about, I'll never find another job, maybe, as you as their coach are able to say to them, you know what, it's a job seeker market right now. There are 2 jobs for every job seeker out there. And I'm here to help you go through the steps and do the things that you need to get you from where you are to where you want to go as quickly as possible. But and they go, oh, it's a job seeker market. Oh, that's good to know. Now their thought, instead of I'll never find a job, is it's a job seeker market. And that leads to feeling hopeful as opposed to discouraged, right? Oh gosh, okay, well, maybe even though I was thinking I'm too old, nobody's going to hire me, maybe because it's a job seeker market and there's more job openings than employers can fill, maybe there is hope for me, right? And then they start targeting employers. They start doing what you're guiding them to do to try to get to that employment result they want. And then they end up with landing a job that was better than the job they had before. It's a better fit for them. They put some thought into it. They took some time, they listened to your guidance, and they ended up in a sustainable role that they can really enjoy and use their strengths in. So that's an example of that. So now let's move on to feelings a little bit. This is a chart I've actually played around with a lot, with depending on who I'm presenting to. It's interesting when I get feedback on diversity, equity, and inclusion, depending on what environment I'm in, different people will look at my slides on this and say, oh, that's not diverse enough. So I can't tell you how many times actually for different organizations, I've had to change these pictures because they're just not diverse enough. So I ask them what diversity is to them, this a little aside, right? And then I change it up, for what they need for their purposes while still trying to keep it diverse. So the third component of self-coaching is really this feelings. Your thoughts create those feelings, right? So the feelings are the emotions you experience in response to the thought. For example, again, like I gave before, I'll never find another job. You might feel discouraged or hopeless. So understanding that your thoughts cause your feelings is how you learn to feel better without changing your circumstances. When using a self-coaching model, feelings should be described in just one word, not a long sentence of how am I feeling, but just one word. Give me one word to describe how you're feeling. I'm happy, frustrated, disgusted, angry, afraid. I might not find another job. Maybe that's the feeling, right? But just one word is what you're looking for there with the feelings. I'm going to go through this one and the next one pretty quickly, just because I want to make sure, like I said, we get through as much as possible. So feelings, so again in here, so if you can start with the feeling, right? So maybe you're not sure what the thought is. Maybe the person you're working with isn't sure of what that thought is that's creating the feeling, but they're just saying, I just feel sad. Or you may talk to them and say, you don't seem your normal perky self or something today. What's going on? How are you feeling? Well, I'm just feeling kind of sad. Well, what is that happening? What's happening? Well, when I'm feeling sad, it's hard to focus on my job search. And then, when I show up at interviews, I'm just not, I'm not my best self, right? And so you need to get them to get to what is that thought? So what is the thought that's causing you to feel sad? And, asking questions about that. Well, what's making you feel sad? And then once you get to that root thought, which is causing that, well, it's because, I'm 50 years old and, people, I really think that all of this hard work and experience that I've done, people just won't value it. Or maybe, for a recent graduate, well, you know what, everyone wants experienced job seekers. And I went through and got my education and I didn't get experience in my field because I just had to work to pay the bills. So I don't have experience in my field like some of the other, people, students and stuff that I went to school with, right? So whatever that thought is, once you can get that thought from them, then you can switch to the deliberate model, right? That's when you can help them to choose a new thought. Okay. And you don't want to choose it for them. If you're doing this for yourself, yes, you want to choose it for yourself, right? But choose a new thought. So being a new coach, so I work with a lot of coaches too. I've been doing coaching in different capacities for, pretty near the last 30 years. So the coach may have a thought if you go from being in corporate to being a career coach, working on your own is, sometimes they might feel like they're a fraud. The thought might be, gosh, I'm not, I don't know enough to do this. I'm not as experienced as I should be. There's other people that know more than me, right? So then a deliberate model to change that might be, you know what? I have helped people and I can use the skills and the knowledge that I already have to help other people on their career journey. I just have to be, one step ahead of them or help them, find their next right step to take in their job search. And I'm going to be able to help them. And then that brings more of a peaceful feeling of confidence, perhaps, feeling confident, allows them to be able to focus, on a job search whenever you change these thoughts to the positive thought, job search, or if they're going into self-employment, taking the skills they have to do something else, being able to take the actions they need. And then, for the job seeker, now they're at ease in interviews because they know they're bringing something to the table. That thought, when they go back to their situation, is I'm job searching, I lost my job. Their thought is no longer, all these negatives. They've been practicing this. And so their thought is, I have a lot to bring to the table, right? So whatever that new thought is that you worked with them to help them developing. Any questions on the feelings part? No? Okay. All right, so moving right along, now we're into actions. We're almost there. We're in the final curve here. So actions, this is I've got it on here. Okay, so actions, it's pretty self-explanatory, right? It's the actions they take or not take, just like I've said before. So this is the fourth component of the self-coaching model. And your actions are influenced by your thoughts and feelings, and they're a good indicator if something is off. So I think, probably because my weight goes up and down, I like to use this as an example sometimes, but, you try to eat healthy, try to do things right and feel better, maybe you you're not even aware. Like I said, we don't stop to think much about our thoughts, but something happens and the action you realize that's occurring. So is that maybe you were eating too much, and when you eat too much, you don't feel good. So you're picking up on that. You realize you ate too much. You said you're going to eat healthy, but maybe you ate twice as much, or you kept eating after you were hungry, right? You're not feeling well. Then you back up and you go, okay, well, what was I feeling that led me to take that action of eating too much? Why didn't I stop when I know I'm trying to eat healthy? And then when they kind of get to what they were feeling, then you can think, okay, but what was the thought that came into your head? Well, maybe it was the what the hell effect, if you've heard of that before, which is, what, well, I'm out with friends just this once. It's new food I haven't tasted before. It's a new dessert I've never had before, something like that. So that's a thought. So then once you get to that point and you've got the thought, you figured out what that thought is, now you can choose a new thought. Once you know the thought that's causing you the troubles, you can choose a new thought. Once you choose a new thought, which might be, you know what, I can eat anything I want to anytime, but right now it's really important to me to get healthy. Here's my reasons why I want to get healthy. And that's going to make you feel differently. That's going to create a new feeling. It's going to create new actions, help you to stay the course and behave and take the actions that you want to. And then you end up with a new result, a new positive result. Okay, and then the following, the last step, next, okay. The last step then is results. So the results, there's the fifth and final component of self-coaching. Your results are the consequences or outcomes of your thoughts, feelings, and actions. The problem with most career coaching is that it really focuses on changing individuals' actions, but it doesn't get to the thoughts or the feelings behind those actions. And so self-coaching is really a way to solve a problem at the root cause instead of only trying to fix the symptoms temporarily. I mean, we can enforce things and try to get people to do things. I think about unemployment, when they have all these things in place where you can't collect unemployment unless you do X, Y, and Z. You must go to an America's Job Center at least 3 times and show that you're trying to get a job. Okay, so they show up and they do what they're supposed to, right? Their thinking is still futile at times, right? Well, this is a waste of time though, because I don't want a job because I feel like I'm going to fail. It's not going to feel good. I had a bad last situation. If you don't work on changing those thoughts, it's not going to get the result you want. It's not going to address that root cause. So if you have a positive thought, if you're able to change it to a deliberate positive thought for yourself, or if other people you're able to help them change it for themselves, then you end up with feelings, actions, and results that are really what they're looking for. So, for example, with the other example that I had given you guys before, and I couldn't click through all these, but oops. I'm going to find a great new job. You might feel motivated, put in more effort, and get a better job. All right, so self-coaching. Okay, so I'm going to tell you how it works, 52. Okay, so I'm going to explain it to you. I guess we won't have time for you to actually practice it right now, but I hope that after today that you will maybe watch the video back and go back, maybe check out some of the other resources I'll tell you about to try this out on your own. And if you do, I would really love to hear your feedback, hear how it worked for you when you start using it for clients. Please, hit me up on LinkedIn, let me know how it's working for you. If you have any more questions too about it after this, I only have a couple more slides. Please reach out and let me know. If you need any help with it, implementing it or something, set up a solution starter call with me or something through LinkedIn. And it's just a free conversation, that I can help you with. So the results or the consequences or the outcomes of your thoughts, feelings, and actions. The problem, of not getting to the root problem or dealing with the root problem is what creates that cycle, that rinse cycle, so to speak, of getting the same results. So now we're going to go, okay, you can see the self-coaching. So this is how it works. The self-coaching model, this is the way I do it. There's a lot of different ways to do it. But if you're working with someone, or let's just say with yourself, you're like dealing with a problem, something that's really bothering you, you're not getting the results you want. I like to start with a free write. Give yourself like 5 minutes and just start writing out everything that's on your mind right then. Just dump it onto a piece of paper. What's bothering you? What's not getting you the results you want? What are you not satisfied with, right? So whether that's in your job search, whether it's in your career development, whatever that is, whether it's in starting your new business. I went back to self-employment last year after, almost a decade out of, being full-time self-employed. I do this a lot. I still do this. I do this almost every single day. I use this self-coaching technique. Once you've done that, then you take a look through that. So you've written down your thoughts, all of them that you can get down in 5 minutes. Give yourself time to really empty your brain. Then pick one thing you wrote down as your first model. What is your current problem or your issue at work? Let's say you want to know why your client isn't making the suggested updates to their resume for a position they want to apply to. You would put that into, or you would put that in action of not making the changes on the action line. Okay, so you're trying to figure out, maybe this is a case of sort of applying it for someone else, but you may have feelings attached to not your clients not getting results too. But you can put that as an action in terms of what they're doing or what they're not doing, and then work with them to work backwards on that. For yourself, you're going to put down on that action line, you'll put down, what are you doing, that causes you to not get the results that you want, and then work back from that, how your circumstances or how your feelings, were developed from your thoughts and circumstances. So if you do that pretty right, really look at some different things, figure out where they fit in the model. Is it a circumstance? Remember, circumstances are neutral, so don't put, a feeling attached to it. If you put down the circumstance, my boss yelled at me yesterday. Okay, your boss yelled at you yesterday. That's not a bad thing or a good thing. It just is. How you feel about it, what you think about it, really is what determines how you're going to feel about it. So when you discover the underlying causes to the results in your life, you become aware of how you're responsible for all of your results. That awareness shows you how you're already creating results, which means you can change your thoughts to achieve different results. The fourth step is really to complete the other lines of your model by asking questions like, what's the circumstance I'm in that makes me think this thought? What thoughts do I have about this circumstance? How do I feel when I think this thought? How do I act when I feel this way? What's the result of my actions when I think this thought? How does this prove the initial thought? And what is a better feeling thought to choose concerning this circumstance? And then finally, the fifth step is to change that thought, to move into that deliberate mode. Rather than saying, even if I do it, it won't make a difference, you can start working out how it will make a difference, how a different thought is going to make a difference. But it has to be, again, like I mentioned earlier, it has to be something you can actually believe. So you need to repeat the thought. If it's possible to do it, then I will be able to do it. I'll keep persisting until I achieve the results. I'll get help if I need to. Whatever that thought is, look for that positive grain. And you have to incrementally change your thoughts from negative to neutral, and then to positive to make real change. And that's called laddering your thoughts. I don't have time to go into that, but put your new thought in the deliberate mode and fill in the rest of the details, no matter how awful that situation, that circumstance seems to you. Just remember that it's neutral. The only thing that ever causes us emotional pain is our story about the things that happened to us, as opposed to the actual thing, the actual circumstance that happened. So let me take a breath. Serenity prayer, if anyone has heard that before, something my dad had on his desk for years, talking about accepting the things we cannot change. Your circumstance is something you can't change, but the rest of these steps you're able to change, and it begins with your thoughts. So I'm not going to go over this slide. We don't really have time to go over it, but I'll put it up there so that if you guys are watching the
Thank you. And you have about 2 minutes, just so you know.
Yeah, I'm almost done. Yeah, I'm just going to, like I said, I'm not going to go over this slide, but I put it up there in case anybody wants to, look back at the presentation. I will be sharing the presentation with California Placement Association also, so that they can share that. But kind of what to do next now that you've got an overview of this model, how to start using it. Ultimately, if more resources for you, I recommend Brooke Castillo's book, Self-Coaching 101, Use Your Mind, Don't Let It Use You. Any content from Byron Katie. You can find her stuff on thework.com. website. She has 4 liberating questions about beliefs that cause us pain that can help you out there. Gosh, I don't know if I remember off the top of my head. Is it true? Can you absolutely know that it's true? How do you react when you believe that thought? And who would you be without that thought? So that's some other resources. Also, Martha Beck, she's a Wayfinder coach, Finding Your North Star, Joy Diet author. If you haven't heard of her before, her newest book is The Way of Integrity. I love that woman. And ultimately, that's it. I'm going to put in the chat. I will go ahead and put the link. So if you want to get a copy of a handout so you can start using this, in conclusion, the self-coaching model is a powerful tool that can help you understand the relationship between your thoughts, your feelings, actions, and results. And by using this model, you can identify negative thoughts, replace them with positive thoughts, and take actions that lead to positive results. Thank you for listening today and attending. I hope this introduction to self-coaching has been helpful to you and that you'll find it useful in speeding up either the path to success in your own lives or the path to employment for your clients. Also, I'm Keri Aaver with CareerWise Consulting. Thanks for coming today, and I'm going to put that in the chat for you right now. Let's see.
Thank you so much, Keri. I know people are asking for the list of the books, and if you enjoyed Keri, so I'm excited. It's super timely for me. I got some big, huge event this weekend, and I'm like, it's definitely into the mind controls the outcome, and you need to be in the right frame of mind. And it leads to your success. You got to be positive. So thank you very much. Please attend next month. You should have gotten the link. I'm really excited. I love JobScan. I have them promote them all the time to my students. They have a ton of information on their website and just the tools of the JobScan itself of scanning and for automated tracking systems. Super useful. Excited to have. So please join us. That way you know what's going on and all the new stuff with JobScan. And we can become masters at it so we can help all of our students and clients. But thank you, Keri. Thank you.
And I think Jackie has an announcement really quick. Jackie, if you want to share.
Yeah, just a reminder to fill out the survey. It's in the chat. I will also send it via email. Your feedback is very important to us, and it helps us all understand best practices. So thank you all again.
And I think you wanted to introduce Nisha really quick. Sorry.
Yes.
And I'll put in the book, since there was a request for that, I'll put in the information about the people I mentioned in the chat.
Yeah. And Keri, if you want to send that to Rosalinda or myself, we can send it out through Eventbrite. They'll list that way too.
Okay.
I'm not able to spotlight Jackie. I'm not sure why. It doesn't let me spotlight Jackie. But anyway, I'd like to introduce Nisha, who's part of the board. Nisha, go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I am the Job Developer and Placement Coordinator at Mount San Jacinto College.
Great. And I'm not sure if we have any more board members here today, but just wanted to give a big thank you to all the board members that are part of this California Placement Association. And they are all throughout the entire state, and we all volunteer. And we would love to have you join us if you're interested.
Hi, my name is Luis Sobrevilla, and I work with the Merced County Office of Education, and I'm a proud member of California Placement Association.
Hi, my name is Greg Friedman. I work with Merced County Office of Education. I'm a proud member of the CPA Northern Region.
Hi, my name is Denise Crawford, and I work at Bakersfield College, and I'm a proud member of the California Placement Association Central Region.
Hi, I'm Rosalinda Rivas, and I'm a proud member of the California Placement Association.